My mom was born in La Sauceda, Michoacan, which is a small little town close to Zamora, Michoacan. And she was born on December 23rd, 1906.
Elena Rodriguez was born in a country on the brink of war and instability. The end of the 1800s saw 2 decades of relative peace in Mexico. But the start of the 1900s, just as she was born, saw political turmoil in China, Russia, and elsewhere. Mexico erupted too. It was a deluge of political corruption, chaos, and violence that ultimately claimed nearly 2 million victims. A cataclysmic revolution that changed Elena, her family, and her country forever.
My mother's family they were born on a ranch in Sauceda. It's a suburb of a little village suburb of Zamora.
Her parents his name was Francisco. Her mother's name was Maria.
And I remember her seeing her where she would make her tortillas with her little bucket on top of her head, going to where they grind the corn. And she would make them every day. Every day she would do this. And I'd always hear the pitter-patter of her hands in the morning, because that would wake me up. Because I would hear that little pitter-patter of making the tortillas by hand on her little stove that she had, a little wooden stove.
He was a horse breeder. He had horses, and they sold eggs and chickens and stuff like that.
Somehow I remember like maybe 17 or 18 kids, and a lot of them died. A lot of them died early on. And so basically what was left, I believe it was 6 children that survived.
And she had, 1, 2, 3 sisters and 2 brothers.
She had sisters named Ana, Chole, Lupita.
Then the boys were Alfonso and Luis.
When I went, it was a very, very poor town. They didn't even have bathroom facilities. You just went out into the back field and you did your business wherever you can find a place. I remember lots of flies, and I remember my mom saying, don't eat this, don't eat that, and just being very cautious. But it was a very, very poor town.
But from there, from La Sauceda, they moved to Zamora, Michoacan as a family due to our great-grandfather, Francisco Rodriguez, wanting to better the life of his family. That's when they moved and purchased a bigger house.
And the house that they bought was an old gambling casino. They found human bones in the backyard there, like it was people that didn't pay their dues, or maybe they gave them trouble or something like that. Not my grandfather owned it, was other people that owned that as a casino.
Maria, their mother would make tortillas, corn tortillas, the old-fashioned way, patting them down. So everybody had a job to do.
The oldest sibling, the oldest sister, was Ana, and she pretty much became the leader. Okay, she was the controller. She administered the funds of the family.
Ana She was the one that was in charge of the finances. She took in all the money, she went to the bank.
Yeah, Anita was in charge of finances, whatever money came in.
I remember it was a big thing for my Aunt Anna to go to the bank, and I remember her waking up, and I remember her going to the sink and washing up and combing her hair and getting her good clothes on, and then we would walk to the bank, and then she would do all of her bank work and then come back and then change into her old house dress. And
Soledad would do cooking, all the time cooking.
Then it was Soledad, and Soledad was the cook. And she was always a happy-go-lucky person also. So we called her Chole, Tia Chole.
Chole, she was the one who cooked. She did it really well, too. I especially liked her chicken soup. Oh, she made it so well.
Then we had Tia Lupe. She was the one that always did, like the grocery shopping or going to the market or helping prepare meals.
And Guadalupe, she would make tamales to sell, and she would go to the grocery store.
Well, Lupe, when she got older, she was the youngest of the girls. When she got older, she would go to the market and she would purchase things for the house.
But from the three sisters that Grandma had, they each had a different role, but they all worked together. And then, of course, they had the two brothers, Alfonso and Luis, which they were pretty much the money makers. And they would go about their business making bricks.
They made bricks out of mud and straw, and they would place these bricks in a huge, like a Quonset hut, it would look like. And there would be fire in there, of course, and they would burn the bricks to a certain degree, and then they would sell their bricks.
And they would sell their bricks for people to build their homes. And they would also have a sale in the middle of their living quarters, not their main living quarters, but where the animals came through. They would sell milk, and they would sell charcoal for like barbecues. So it was always very interesting, but kind of a scary experience with all the animals, because as I stated, it was goats, chickens, cats.
Aside from that, he also had cows and horses and pigs and chickens and turkeys in the back of this house that he purchased, and they would sell eggs, and they would sell the pigs once they got big and fat enough to be sold, and they would do that. And they would also sell coal. They had some guy that would come twice a week, and he would have a burro, and on this poor burro was stacks and stacks of coal. And he would sell it to my grandfather, and in turn my aunts would sell that at the door. They'd sell it to anybody who needs coal, little sticks of coal for their needs for cooking.